It's time to talk turkey. Get your questions ready for our live half-hour turkey hunting call-in show. Phone lines are open now, and the number to call is 1-800-944-4664.
Yeah, we got one. Sweet.
A muskrat?
Yeah.
Good job.
What do you know about that, man? That's a good fish, man.
Nice male smallmouth. Healthy, pretty color.
Cody, here. Find us one more good pheasant, Cody.
As biologists, we catch ducks and we place bands on them.
And it's just a really excellent place to see cottonmouths.
I like it.
What do you think? Like bull.
That was pretty fun.
Good evening and welcome to Kentucky Afield. I'm your host, Chad Miles. Tonight, you have tuned in to our live annual Spring Turkey Call-In Show. Joining me tonight to answer our questions, I have Zach Danks, who is the Grouse and Turkey Program Coordinator. Then we have a familiar face over here, Mr. Officer B.J. McCoy, who's from the 4th District. If you'd like to get your question answered, and we're taking all questions regarding turkey hunting or habitat, you can call us by 1-800-944-4664. We are also accepting questions via Facebook at Kentucky Afield. Let's get right in and get started. We have Brandon from LaRue County. Is turkey reaping or fanning legal in Kentucky? This is a legal question. This is something we're starting to see on more hunting shows. Not easy to do, but tell us a little more about that, and is it legal?
For people who aren't familiar, the reaping, they used to call it stalking and crawling, is getting a turkey fan and laying on the ground and using it to work a bird or walk to or approach a bird that may be, some distance away. It is legal, but you do have to be very careful because there are some safety issues that may arise if you're crawling through a field with a fan, especially on public ground. You got to be aware that you are being looked at as a turkey. So just take the safety precautions, but it is a legal thing to do in Kentucky.
There's a lot of things to carry through the woods too. It takes a little skill to try to get that all put together, to be able to carry a weapon and a fan, and so it's good luck with that. Jonathan from Logan County, he wants to know how he telechecks his turkey.
Telechecking is a requirement, and we'll just go through the whole list since he's talking about telecheck. From when you kill a bird, what exactly do you do? First off, before you move the bird, you have to make sure you fill out your harvest log, which is found in the back of your license, or you can actually make your own or print off your own. Once you fill out your harvest log on the back of your license, then before midnight or before you process that bird, you have to telecheck it. You can call the 800 number, the toll-free number, on the back of your license, enter in all your information. Now, once again, that's got to be done before midnight of the day you recover it, or before you start to cut on the bird. It's not 24 hours. A lot of people think, well, I got 24 hours to do it, but it's before midnight.
Linnea Staten, looks like a Facebook question. Any consideration for a early archery season for turkey hunting prior to the gun season?
Not at this time. We've got our season structured just right, we think, so that we strike a good balance between hunter opportunity and protecting, conserving the population just right. So really, within our framework now, we have a 23-day season, so it doesn't allow a lot of time for a split archery season.
You say there's no real changes being proposed. That's something I want to tell everyone is really there's no changes this year in the turkey season. Pretty much there's new opportunities for turkey hunting, but no real changes to the regs this year. It's pretty similar to how it's been the last few years, right? We want you to read those regs and keep up with that book and make sure you got your dates and your bag limits right. But if you are a seasoned turkey hunter, there are really no changes, right? All right, Anna from Facebook. This is a habitat question. She said that her neighbor's property has been clear cut and she has 27 forested acres nearby. How's that going to affect her turkey hunting? This is kind of a tricky question.
Yeah, yeah, and certainly when it comes to timber harvest, clear cutting especially, that can be controversial. So it's hard to answer without knowing the situation, because it would differ if her wood lot, 27 acres or whatever, and the neighbor's woods were the only woods around. Then that would have a different impact, probably could really change things for turkey, versus a situation where you've got a lot more forested acres. In that case, if there's more woods on the surrounding landscape, then a clear-cut harvest could actually be very beneficial for turkeys. In the few years after that, with all that regrowth, thicket-type growth, that's where it provides really good nesting spots. Hens will take their broods in there to feed. So, and it's good for a lot of other wildlife too. That's not to say indiscriminate logging can't have bad effects. It certainly can, and we encourage people to work with professional foresters and wildlife biologists, and we have staff on hand that can consult with people about that. But
you do need to have the roost trees close by.
You certainly need it. So that's why I say it's really hard to say without knowing the situation, because turkeys are generalists and they use a lot of habitat types. They roost in trees, so they need big trees, but they'll feed in and around young growth resulting from a clear cut.
Talking about nest, here we go. Butch from Nelson County. He wants to know, what are the top nest raters of turkeys? And this may actually surprise some people.
Yeah, probably number one is our raccoons. Skunks, opossums, snakes, some of your bigger snakes that eat eggs. Crows will actually take eggs too. So, and among predators, you know, a lot of things like to try to catch a turkey, but really most impact of predators is on nest and to poults, so when they're really little.
A lot of questions about nest. Here's another one. How many eggs does a female turkey lay?
On average, probably 10 to 12. Typically, adult hens will have a larger clutch, and whereas juveniles may have a fewer eggs, but generally 9 to 13, 10 to 12, somewhere in there. You'll find nests that have up to 15, 16 eggs. So it's real variable by individual hen.
Now, if they have 15 eggs, not that many typically are going to make it. You're usually going to get a couple to make it to adulthood.
Right. If we make it end of the summer, going into fall, it would be tremendous if we had 3 poults per hen left.
Per hen, yeah.
There's just such high mortality. Derek,
it's a Facebook question. Any conversation about the turkey season being a little bit earlier? We hear this quite a bit, especially people from the South. I think Tennessee's season opens this weekend, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
A lot of people ask about that down there.
Yep. Yeah, we do get that question a lot. And, you know, I guess I would say that, for example, Tennessee, they've had their season set for a while. They have more days and actually 2 additional birds, so twice the bag limit, 4 birds. But still, you know, Kentucky and Tennessee, very comparable in size. They don't kill any more birds than we do. And given some recent concerns over the situation with population in some of the southeastern states, we feel like a little bit more conservative season framework is probably wise at this point.
I tell you what, I'll always err on the side of being a little more conservative. A lot of time and energy, a lot of manpower, a lot of dollars, a lot of volunteers to get this turkey herd.
And I guess I would say too that with gobbling, you know, people say, well, they're gobbling right now, why can't we hunt them? Well, there's typically a couple peaks in gobbling. So one is when all that breeding is going on. The second, when we start our season, that's the theoretical second peak when a lot of hens are going off to start laying their eggs. So.
Here we go, the bearded hen question. Brandon from Shelby County wants to know, is it legal to shoot a bearded hen in the spring?
Absolutely. You can shoot a male turkey or a turkey with a visible beard. And there are, Zach will probably know the...
probably about less than 10%.
10% of the hens have a beard, so absolutely legal.
Mark from Owensboro wants to know, what are the legal ways to take a turkey? He's asking about spear and swords.
A spear and swords, they are not legal hunting equipment for a turkey. So no, unfortunately cannot. If he'll look in his hunting guide, there's a list of what you can and cannot use to take a turkey.
I tell you what, it's a pretty cunning animal, great vision. It'd be really hard to take one that way.
Yeah, very difficult.
Emily from Grant County. Can you use a live turkey as a decoy? I'm not sure where she's got a live turkey, but she wants to know if she can use it as a decoy.
You cannot. Live decoys are prohibited under Kentucky statutes, so you have to find something else to attract the turkeys.
There's some, I tell you what, some of the new decoys that are out there, they look live.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you can't really tell the difference. I've seen a couple times where I'm watching a bird come in and think to myself, man, don't shoot your decoy. They look so real. Yeah. Tommy from Madison County wants to know about the chance to increase to 3 bird limit in the spring.
Bag limits like season length is something we'll, be considering over the years, but we don't have any plans in the near future to change things up. Again, we just feel like we've got a pretty good handle on the season right now, and we just want to err on the side of caution for the time being.
Here's an interesting question. We may even know this gentleman. Facebook question from Stuart Ray. It says, how do biologists determine or estimate the turkey population?
Very good question. It's a very hard thing to do, first off. Yeah, you can imagine across an entire state, to do it right, to do research, to have any real credibility would be very expensive, just beyond our means. So we have to use our harvest numbers as an index to that. Mm-hmm. It's really our best source of information, and that's why it's so important that people telecheck. I mean, we have a really nice resource in telecheck. We have real-time data to know how the turkey harvest is going. So that's why it's so important that people do that. With research studies in localized areas, there are other methods of estimating populations. You can capture birds, ban them, or put radio collars on them, and so you're essentially sampling that population, and you can get an idea. But over an entire state or counties, regions, we basically rely on harvest statistics.
What is the number that we use statewide? What is the estimated population of birds?
225, 240,000 potentially. That's what we think right now, and we've been pretty stable the last few years.
All right. Bill from Campbell County. Will hens breed before the temperature warms up in the spring? I guess if it's a late cool spring, he wants to know if they'll go into breeding.
Temperature can have a little bit of influence on breeding. So usually though, it's more in really severe winters, and we don't have severe enough winters here to see a lot of variation up in northern populations where they get a lot of snow. They could have a lot of late severe storms that can actually delay breeding a little bit, but by and large, most of the breeding activity is controlled by day length. So hours of daylight is what triggers the birds to go do their thing. So that won't vary too much year to year. Now, an early spring like this year, what that is going to influence is the foliage, the vegetation. So that could affect how we hear gobbles, whether we're able to pinpoint quite as well, because all that vegetation can intercept some sound. Plus, it's going to change the way we move through the woods. Maybe we'll be concealed a little more. Turkeys may be a little more concealed from us coming in, so keep your eyes peeled.
And how you set up on how far you're going to be able to shoot safely and effectively as well.
Absolutely.
Ken from Harrison County wants to know what the best setup to use decoys in terms of using jakes and hens, and then what direction do you like to face them? You got any experience with that?
Well, me personally, I try to go pretty simple. I'm pretty low tech, and I usually have a couple hen decoys in my vest, and typically I have them pointing away from me so that gobbler will come in front of them, hopefully turn and be looking at me. But I don't know, you guys may have your own preferences. I think that setup is largely a matter of personal preference, but it's also your situation, You've got an area that you've scouted out, and that bird this is his strut zone. You may have a different setup than if you're picking up and adjusting, or you're hunting a new property and you may not know exactly how to hunt it. So.
It also changes a whole lot depending on, is this a run and gun style of hunt, or am I going to be in a blind and have my decoys set up there? You go picking up 2 or 3 decoys and moving them from spot to spot all day, you're going to spend a lot of time, make a lot of noise.
Right, a lot of motion.
Kathy from Jefferson County, he's wanting to know while fishing, if they seize a turkey, if they can take it. That's a tricky question, because if you're on a boat, there's some stipulations.
Yeah, if she is talking about being on the boat, you cannot shoot a turkey from a boat. You can use a boat to travel from one place to another, but not from the boat.
If she's talking about just hunting during the bank, she's got permission to hunt there.
Yeah, if she's got permission, then yeah, she can travel to the area and hunt away.
John from Bath County. Here's a question we normally get about hunting while carrying a pistol. He has his concealed carry. He wants to know if he can pack a pistol.
Yes, you can. A few years ago, Kentucky law changed, and so that you are now allowed to, if you are legal to carry it during the non-hunting season in that situation, you are legal in the hunting situation.
Here's an interesting question. Rob from Hardin County. He wants to know about calling techniques and how they may vary between hunting open areas versus wooded areas. Do you alter your calling patterns or techniques depending on the terrain you're hunting?
Not really. No, it's more to do with the gobbling activity. If I'm not hearing birds and I really may need to project my sound, I'm probably going to go for a box call. It makes a lot louder racket than what I can make with a slate or glass or with my diaphragm. But habitat features, you know, you'll hear hens calling about the same whether you're on the edge of a field or in the deep back in the woods. So that doesn't have to be tied to biology, I guess I would say.
And hunting with decoys and calls, it's not a perfect science. You may find something that works for you, and with your turkeys a little different than someone else. So
that's right. Variation is the name of the game in biology, and it sure is in hunting too.
That's right. Haley in Christian County, can you shoot a turkey while it is flying or in a tree? This is an interesting question.
The only stipulation as far as a flying turkey would be if it's in the roost. If the bird is in its roost, which is where it spends the night, then no, you cannot shoot it. But a bird that is flying is legal to take.
All right, here's a question about feeding wildlife. He wants to know, Mike from Campbell County wants to know if someone doesn't have a hunting guide, how do they know if it's illegal to feed outside the curtilage of their house? That's interesting because where else can you get a hunting guide?
Pretty much anywhere you can buy a hunting and fishing license. A lot of small mom and pop places, gas stations will sell them. Most department stores, like a Walmart, for instance, will have it. Little tackle and bait shops will always have a good supply. And it's also on the internet, on the website, you know, the Kentucky State, the legislature's website, and on Fish and Wildlife's website. It's pretty much everywhere if you want to find it. Plus, you're more than welcome to call the 1-800-858-1549 number. That will get you in touch with Frankfurt, and they can help you contact a conservation officer. There's one other phone number you can contact if you have questions like that. 1-800. I stopped the poaching hotline.
25 alert.
25 alert. I'm sorry,
no
I lost it there. And call that, and that will get you to the state police post, and they'll get you in contact with the local conservation officer. But as far as where you can put the bait out or feed out, you can't do it now until the end of May is the next legal opportunity to put out any type of feed outside of the curtilage of your home.
Will from Owen County wants to know how the mild winter is going to affect populations, and could it create a boom in populations?
Potentially. It was a good winter. We also had a really good mast year last fall, so a lot of acorns out in the woods, and that should have there should have been plenty for turkeys to get. So hopefully the birds come into spring really good condition. So some years with a rough winter, you can have them coming in a little bit underweight maybe in season, but this year shouldn't be any effect. And whether it'll cause a boom, that's hard to say. Like I said, in general, hens may lay a little bit bigger clutches, have a little bit better quality eggs if they are in good condition, but it probably won't. I mean, it's hard to say it would lead to a boom necessarily. Those kind of things are so variable.
Here's a question, excuse me, from Laurel County. Wants to know if a sportsman's license is a good option for turkey season. What all does a sportsman's license carry, and what does it not cover, and what does it not cover?
A sportsman's license is definitely going to be good for your turkey, both spring and fall. And the sportsman's license is just simply what it says. It's for sportsmen, people who turkey hunt, deer hunt. It's got a trout permit in there as well. It's got just about everything that you'll need to go do everything except for a federal duck stamp, which that's what you'll need for certain game.
Okay. We're getting tons of questions. We're going to run through some a little quicker. Is it legal to use a crossbow in the spring turkey season if you're over 65?
Yes.
It's legal anyway,
Yes.
right? You did 65 or not 65, so right. Guy from Hart County here, Bill from Hart County, wants to know what he can do to his farm to help the habitat hold turkeys on his farm during the season.
You can work with a Kentucky Fish and Wildlife private lands biologist first. And you can find that number by looking on our website, calling our headquarters, telling them you want the name and number of your biologist. They'll give you recommendations on how to improve your habitat, your farm, and that's the very best way to start.
Okay, that's great. A lot of questions about the timing of the season, so we're going to keep rolling through these. Tommy from Laurel County wants to know if it is legal to use an electronic decoy for hunting turkeys. He knows that electronic calls are not legal. He wants to know about decoys. An
electronic decoy would be legal. Of course, it couldn't make any sound. That'd be the only stipulation there.
Mike from Campbell County wants to know if it's too early right now for turkeys to start laying eggs.
It would be a little early, yeah. It would be on the extreme early end of things. They need, they should be starting breeding really good here over the next couple weeks. So they'll start starting to go off to lay, first week of April or so, and it'll really peak about the time our season comes in.
Caleb from Caleb from Shelby County. Are the wild turkeys with white feathers and wings domestic or mixed with domestic turkeys?
We have to treat them as wild, for sure. I mean, it would be too hard to know on the wing, but color variations, color phases are natural. Smoky gray, white, reddish brown sometimes, but yeah, legally they need to be treated as wild birds.
Justin from Facebook wants to know the best way to improve his land to increase turkey populations. Wants to know what to plant.
Okay. Food is, and food plots is what the first thing people ask about. Food is not limiting into Kentucky, so food plots usually act as attractant spots for hunting. They can also be very important for brood habitat. That's what you need to be thinking about, are places that attract chicks. So a really good clover mixture is something good to plant, but more importantly, you need to be thinking about nesting habitat, and that's things like native orange season grasses, other things you can do, forest stand improvements are some good techniques. So again, talk to your local private lands biologist. They can go over your entire property, what the makeup of your neighbor's properties are. That's all going to influence how much you can actually benefit the population on your property as they use your property.
Michael from Crittenden County. He is a private landowner. He wants to know what his responsibilities are as far as tagging a turkey after he shoots one on his own property.
He would treat it the same as if he were on public land or on his buddy's property. The telecheck and the requirements are exactly the same. Of course, he wouldn't need a hunting license, so he would need to take an index card, a piece of paper, something that he could use as his log that he would keep with him whenever he's hunting, and telecheck the turkey as he normally would.
I'm getting a couple of people asking about their specific counties, and I don't know, we probably don't keep population numbers by county. Any particular counties or any areas that may have experienced some declines in turkey populations?
Yeah, we're looking at some areas. We have been getting some reports. So far western Kentucky, we've seen some declines in harvest. Looking back over, if you compare the past 5 or 6 years to the 5 or 6 years before that, we have seen some counties that are running 7, 8, 9% decline in harvest in western Kentucky. Some declines up in northern Kentucky, which really are the outskirts of Cincinnati. So you've got a lot more human population growth, so housing development, things like that, that are really potentially impacting where people can hunt. So whether the population's actually declining, it's hard to say. There are some eastern and northeastern counties too, where the harvest has gone down a little bit. Nothing just horribly drastic, but it could be signaling that our population is stabilizing.
A person with telecheck now, an individual could go on there and log on and check the harvest results of their particular county, correct?
Right, yes. Correct.
So we're getting like Pulaski County, Leslie County, some of these counties people are asking. They can go on there and check their harvest result numbers on the Department of Fish and Wildlife official webpage, correct?
That's right, yeah. And the harvest is one of our best means to gauge the population, but it's not a perfect relationship. There's a lot of factors that go into it, and certainly within a county, localized areas, a harsh cold, wet spring that can be hard on poults and nests, that can impact a local population for a couple years or more. So, so things may not always be reflected in those harvests, but still they have the option to look at their county.
Jack from Jefferson County wants to know if turkeys were trapped on LBL this year, and if so, how many?
No active trapping has gone on in Kentucky for several years now. Yeah,
All right.
Pretty much closed up restoration about, late 90s, around 2000.
Joe here in Hardin County wants to know if he can take both turkeys in the same day.
He cannot. You're only allowed one turkey per day.
I can't believe this is already over. This half hour flies by. I know we didn't get to everyone's questions. You can call us at the Department of Fish and Wildlife, or you can check our Facebook page and ask questions out there as well. We're going to keep asking questions. Hope everyone out there has a very safe and very productive spring turkey season. Warmer weather make turkeys breed differently or earlier?
No, mostly daylight impacts it. Can a little bit, and it varies year to year, but not a whole lot. Not as much as people would think.
Someone know if their property borders water, if they can use a boat to access hunting properties.
Yes, you can use a boat as a travel method.
What's the best crop to grow to attract turkeys and the best time to plant it? This is going to be a long one.
There's a lot of good things to plant. Talk to that biologist. Too much to go into.
How do you tag a turkey for a youth hunter that does not have a license or a tag?
Same way you do. You just use this.